Let's look at the limit as theta approaches 0 of cosine 5 theta over theta squared. As you know, we like to start by using substitution to see if we can evaluate the limit. And so when I do this, what that means is we're going to try and put 0 in for theta. And after I write this out, oops, theta's going to 0. What you'll see that happens is we get cosine of 0, which is 1, over 0 squared, which is 0. Now, this is not an indeterminate form, so our other techniques are not going to help us evaluate this limit. Instead, what we want to think about is what's really happening as we get close to 0. To do that, we have to look at both sides of 0. What's happening as we approach from the negative side, and what's happening as we approach from the positive side. Now, there's a technical or specific language for this. They're called left-hand and right-hand limits, which we'll cover more later. But one way to investigate this is just to look at the graph. We have all this technology these days, and so why not put it to good use? I'll show you a picture of this function graphed on Desmos, and we'll take a look at what's happening as we get close to 0, and you'll see that we can describe this limit even though we can't find its value, because 1 divided by 0 is technically undefined. So when you graph this function and look at what's happening from the left-hand side and the right-hand side, what you'll see is it's growing without bound. That when you divide 1 by a really small negative number squared, that becomes a really big positive number. And when you divide 1 by a really small positive number that's just a little bit bigger than 0, that becomes a really large positive value. So while we don't have a specific y value to name for this limit, what we can say is that the limit approaches infinity. And the notation that we use for that is limit as theta approaches 0 of cosine 5 theta over theta squared equals infinity. Keep in mind, infinity is not a number. It's the idea that this thing is shooting off in the positive direction, growing without bound. And since it's happening the same way on both sides, our little finger trick works. Our fingers are pointing in the same direction. So we can say that this limit is positive infinity. Hope that helps with that one. Stay tuned for more.